there's the Sukkot, the Feast of Booths. So, there was a time that they had to go around in the desert and live in booths. So Leviticus 23 once again talks about the Feast of Booths. And it says, Moses spoke, saying, speak to the sons of Israel, saying, on the 15th of the 7th month, same month, is the Feast of Booths, for 7 days to Yahuwah. On this first day is a holy convocation. You should do no laborious work of any kind. For 7 days you shall present an offering by fire to Yahuwah, and on the 8th day you shall have a holy convocation. So that's why I was saying about, Kojic talking about holy convocations. This is what holy convocations are supposed to be about. I don't know exactly how they do theirs, but I know it's in reference to this because, as we say, Charles Mason was based on Reverend William Christian, who believed we were the Israelites, right? So shall have a holy convocation, present an offering by fire to Yahuwah as an assembly. You should do no laborious work. Jumping down to the 39th verse, because before that they were talking about all these sacrifices. I just jumped over those sacrifices. But on 39, on exactly the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gather together the crops of the land, you should celebrate the feast of Yahuwah for 7 days and rest on the first day and rest on the 8th day. So those are the two high Shabbats, one on the first day. And the 8th day is interesting, right? Because usually said you need to do it for 7 days. So what's this 8th day all about, right? He said you're supposed to dwell in these booths for 7 days, but now they're telling you, he's telling us that we supposed to also rest on the 8th day. All right, we'll get to that. But now on the first day, you should take yourselves the foliage of beautiful trees, palm branches, and burls of leafy trees, and willows of the brook, and you shall rejoice before Yahuwah your El for 7 days. So, it's the time for us to rejoice. So, like during this time, you start getting, around October-ish sometimes. I want to say it's September, October, November-ish during that time. So, 7 days of what we do is camping, coming together as a family. You can see my cousin's tent down at the bottom. She had a real nice tent. We haven't been able to upgrade and get to where she's at, but but you can see what they built, these little sukkahs. That's what it's called at the top. When they went throughout the desert, they built these little shelters, temporary shelters. And if you know about a lot of early black churches that started during slavery, they used to have the bush. They used to do a little kind of like a sukkah where they actually didn't have money. They just set up stuff, put some hay straw at the top, and they had church within those different places, showing how it connects back to our people as well. But once again, people talk about celebrating Christmas and trees. This is a time that you can do the same thing. So what's the reason why they're not doing the stuff that's in the Bible, but will do the pagan tradition that came and got mixed in with a lot of European paganism, right? So there's no no strangeness, I would say, of somebody bringing in a tree and putting it in their house versus somebody doing something like this, right, with foliage and leaves and trees and doing things of that nature as well. So verse 41 says, you shall celebrate it as a feast to Yahuwah for 7 days. In the year it shall be a perpetual statute among you, your generation. It means forever, right? He's trying to tell us something. Like, what does this mean, right? Like, why does he want us to go around in booths? Again, to remember what Moses did and our ancestors as Israelites, how they went among the desert and they was in booths. Why is that important? Why does he want us to remember that forever? Right? You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You shall live in booths for 7 days. All the native born in Israel shall live in booths, so that your generations may know that I had the sons of Israel living in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahuwah your El. So Moses declared to the sons of Israel the appointed times to Yahuwah. So he was basically saying to remember this time, right? All the time. So why would he want us to remember how he brought us out of Egypt when we sinned and left and went around? Why is that important to today? So let's go to the next slide. This is just a overview. So once you come to our feast days, we go more in detail, but this is just the overview. All right, so we can see in Zechariah 14, it talks about how he said he was going to, Zechariah 14, I don't have it right here, but it talks about how he's going to bring us back together as a people, and then there's going to be a great war. And at the end of that war, there's going to be things that, after Yahushua comes back to dwell there, that he's going to have, these things that actually happen, right? So in verse 11 it says, people will live in it, and there will no longer be a curse, for Jerusalem will dwell in security. So Yahushua comes back. He's going to make sure Mount Zion and Jerusalem is secure. It says, now this will be the plague with which Yahuwah will strike all the peoples who had gone to war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they stand on their feet, and their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongue will rot in their mouth. So it's kind of like they're going to, just die on the spot. I put a zombie up there to kind of can't have people. I had a different picture up there, but I try to make it kid family, not to scare children that might be watching. So you can kind of think about a zombie, no eyes, tongue gone, and all that. The flesh is decaying. So these are the people that's trying to fight against the Israelites. They got, that trumpet that sounds, that gathers us back together again, that takes us to Israel, right? It's a prophecy. And then once we're there, there's going to be a war, the atonement, right? That Yahushua's making atonement. He's coming back, blowing the trumpet, to make war on the earth, right? To set us at one back with Yah, set men at one with Yah. And then in 15, we can see it says, so all these plagues, so also like this plague will be the plague on the horse, the mule, the camel, the donkey, and all the cattle that will be in those camps. Then it will come about that any who are left of all the nations they went against Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the king, talking about Yahuwah of hosts, and to celebrate the feast of booths. So they, in the last days after Yahushua comes and establishes, peace within Jerusalem, that any of those who oppose them, everybody on earth has to come and do the Feast of Booths, or Sukkot, as we also call it. So that's the Feast of Booths, the Feast of Indwelling and Gathering, I think it's called as well. So all those different things means how he's going to come and bring us together like that millennium reign, right? The symbol of the millennium reign. That's what's basically that Sukkot is all about, that we're going to come together and dwell with him. So why wouldn't we celebrate that if we believe in the Bible, right? And it talks about those other nations. They will, if they don't come to bring their worship to the king and to, whatever their sacrifice is, that it will be a plague on them as well, that smites the nation who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. So, why not celebrate it now if we're going to have to do it in the future? So that's that perpetual thing that he wants us to continue to do, to remember this feast, because it's going to happen again. And, for those children of Israel and those who don't do it are going to be plagued in the future. All right, so next. So it also talks about the tabernacle, right? Because he says that he wants to tabernacle with men. That's his whole goal, is, how he dwelt in the garden with Adam in the cool of the day. He walked among the garden, so he wants to come back, but because of sin pushes us out, he can no longer dwell within us. So that's the reason why Yahushua said atonement, so he can come back and tabernacle with us again, right? So it says we won't have a temple as well. There's no temple needed, because Yahuwah, and the Lamb, Yahushua, will be the temple of it also. All right.